Patricia.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Your Excellencies, my colleagues here in this room, my colleagues outside, good afternoon. And my colleagues in the Philippines, which is on the opposite side of the world, I say good morning. I'm not sure many of them are up to see the webcast of these interactive hearings. After the post-2015 development agenda is finalized and adopted in September by the global community, the challenge of implementation would start. Ensuring the attainment of the post-2015 agenda requires effective mechanisms for follow-up and review, a holistic and robust accountability mechanism which would include monitoring, evaluating, and reporting on progress or lack of progress, sharing of lessons and knowledge, and adoption and implementation of programs and approaches proven to be effective. And I'd like to say the monitoring, the review must be done on a timely basis and not like the past MDG where we had to catch up on the 10th year for most countries anyway. We in Code NGO and other civil society organizations in the Philippines join our colleagues in the International Forum of National NGO Platforms, the Cibicus Asian Development Alliance, ADA, Beyond 2015, and other groups that we have joined, and everyone here present in emphasizing the essential role of CSOs and people's organizations in the implementation of the post-2015 agenda, also from its implementation up to its evaluation. My granddaughter was born in year 2000. She is now 15 years old, the end of the MDGs. She'll be 30 years old when we finish SD 2015. So that's a long period of time. Maybe I won't be around when the ending comes. The follow-up and review of the implementation of the agenda must recognize the key role of citizens, especially the poor and the marginalized, and other organizations and other civil society organizations, because they enable the varied voices in society to be heard. They have also proven to be innovative problem solvers, dealing with many complex problems faced by our sectors and our communities. Furthermore, CSOs spur volunteerism and undertake much-needed monitoring of government programs, projects, activities, and budgets. Member states should ensure an enabling environment, including enacting laws where there is none, regulations, programs, and practice for citizens and their organizations to carry out their role as capable and independent development actors. Broad-based people's participation in the follow-up and review mechanisms that must foster the principles of social justice, equality, peace, and human development, good, accountable, transparent, responsive, and responsible governance, people empowerment, and gender equality. The multi-level processes undertaken for the post-2015 development agenda that had made for more open, inclusive, and constructive engagement of CSOs and people around the world, and I'm sure many of you have been to many of these activities for the preparation of the agenda. The inclusiveness of that process should be sustained and improved, in fact. And an enabling environment must be secured for CSOs to enable them to play their role in raising awareness and understanding the post-2015 agenda. Member states and the UN need to support inclusive local and national fora and dialogues on the post-2015 agenda to promote widespread and extensive awareness and understanding, particularly regarding the member states and business sector's accountability for ensuring equity, human rights, gender equality, sustainable production and consumption, peace, and human development, and environmental sustainability. Member states also need to ensure accessibility of accurate, updated, comprehensive, disaggregated, open data on the post-2015 agenda, data from reliable national, local, and international government sources, also from citizens, data that comes from the citizens, from the CSOs, and the academic community. Mechanisms for regularly sharing this data or information between government and CSOs and other sectors must be clarified at this point of the preparation. The post-2015 agenda must be translated through an open and inclusive process into national and local sustainable development plans, programs, and projects which are backed up by funding. Accountability for inclusive, rights-based, and timely implementation of the post-2015 agenda requires transparent and participatory mechanisms and institutions at all levels, from national to regional to global. The inclusiveness, transparency, and effectiveness of local and national review mechanisms need to be strengthened. Review and follow-up mechanisms must be led by review bodies, and they must be broadly representative, cross-ministerial, and covered and convened, if possible, by the highest government officials so they can be taken seriously. As we track global and national funding commitments, cost effectiveness of the funding and related programs must be monitored to ensure that these funding mechanisms and programs promote sustainability and self-reliance rather than the most dreaded dependency of communities. In many countries, including the Philippines, so-called participatory mechanisms have often meant token involvement, leading to frustration and cynicism among CSOs. Our experience in Code NGO, CSO participation in governance was invigorated recently with the Philippine government introducing the bottom-up budget process in all the 1,600 local governments in the country. Under this participatory budget process, decisions on priority projects can be funded only when the bodies that are supposed to approve these projects, and they are composed of 50% government and 50% CSOs, have approved these projects. This made CSO participation more meaningful and substantial, and this need to be replicated in the local and national review mechanisms for the post-2015 agenda. Governments must also recognize that many CSOs, especially organizations of the poor and marginalized, would need to be strengthened through capacity building and financial support from government and other sectors, support which must be delivered without compromising CSO independence. The formation of local, subnational, and national networks of CSOs for mutual support, common advocacy actions, and knowledge sharing also needs to be supported. Support for CSOs by government and UN agencies and other funding agencies also mean working with legitimate CSOs and promoting self-regulation and accountability and mechanisms within the sector. At the regional level, there should be transparent and participatory mechanisms for peer review of the performance of countries. The use of modern independent information communications technology, primarily the internet, computers, and mobile phones, in facilitating the transparency, accountability, and participation at all levels must also be maximized. A question was asked about the high-level political forum. We see the value of the high-level political forum, and we believe that it should be supported by, among others, providing for a dedicated, permanent, and independent secretariat for the LHPH. The high-level forum should regularly receive and publicly discuss country reports and regional reviews. It also needs to focus on global systems and issues affecting SDG implementation, including global finance, trade, technology, and governance. The forum should also lead in ensuring an annual participatory review of the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development. We, the CSOs in the Philippines, together with our colleagues in the regional and global networks where we belong, we commit to actively support the post-2015 development agenda processes and affirm our commitment to do something about the many issues that continue to confront peoples around the world, from local to global, pernicious and dehumanizing poverty, rampant corruption, weak and irresponsible and irresponsive governance, the degraded environment, violence of all forms, conflict that divide peoples and result in senseless loss of lives and property. We commit to actively follow the process until September 2015 and in the next 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. And